For showing up, wow.
Yeah, we didn't
not
expect
expecting this.
We didn't expect how many people wanted to hear about fucking monsters.
I mean, you should have done the honest film.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't? I mean,
You know, we're all horny. God.
Inside.
Also, it's really hard.
And we're all horny for Venom, to be honest.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
So this is an 18+ panel. Obviously, we didn't ID you, so we're going by the honor system. Please don't get us in trouble. If you're not 18, please leave. But I'm sure you're all adults just looking around.
Legally, you have to tell us, otherwise it's entrapment.
Yes. we know our rights.
We know our rights.
So, quick introduction. Who started this whole thing?
Who started this whole thing? As in wanting to fuck Venom?
No, I meant like, who are you?
Who the fuck am I? Oh yeah, who the fuck am I? Guys, I'm Harum-Scarum cosplay, or you can call me Simone if you want to. But I'm the one who, if you've seen the TikTok video of Mary Jane looking online of Venom pictures and being like, yeah, I would fuck that, and then looking at how long his tongue is. And for you guys.
Oh, so the fuck am I? I am Glitchy Pixie, or Gwen, and I was asked to be on this panel to explain the psychology and science behind why you want to fuck monsters, which will be a fun little discussion towards the end of this. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Hey, I'm Jan. You can call me, Jan. But, yeah. I'm just here because Simone asked me to be, and I thought it'd be fun to be in the monster fucking theater.
Yeah, thank you. And now, I guess we can get started. Welcome to Venom, a discussion in monster fucking. AKA, you're all so horny for monsters and alien creatures. Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
All right, so the topic of discussion tonight. We'll be talking about a brief history of Venom, you know, the man, the symbiote, and the evolution of their whole relationship and everything. Because as we know, Venom is definitely fucking Eddie Brock in the ass every day. Now, and what's behind the attraction, our attraction to monsters, basically. So, you know, why we might feel that attraction to them, just tells us what clicks in our mind. Hey, yeah, that monster's kind of hot. And then the pseudoscience behind wanting to fuck a monster. Explain that.
Well, I mean, we will get to that. Yeah, but it's again, like any form of psychology, it is a pseudoscience. So you know, it's more like a correlation sort of thing, and it has results, and you know, it's been repeated multiple times. So it's decent, but you know, we can't 100% prove it. But you know, you still go to therapy and take their word. So we want to get right into this.
All right, so the brief history of Venom, kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so to preface this, we're actually not going to be talking about beastly creatures. So for the most part, monster or monster fucking will refer to like alien or xenomorphic creatures.
Werewolves.
Just because we only have, I'm so sorry, we only have about 50 minutes, and we had a huge discussion about what counts as like a monster or not. We would talk about beasts like King Kong or like Winston from Overwatch. Or Beast or Beauty and the Beast, but we had a, it was too much, we only 50 minutes. Okay.
If we said what they said, you'd be fighting them right now.
We only 50 minutes. Okay, so for brevity, not to okay.
Oh, here's our other panelists.
Late.
Walking in late.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show.
You can't get to this floor from this side.
yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can? They won't
You
let
have
me.
to go on this side of the building.
that's
Not this side, because it runs to the maid cafe.
That's
You gotta introduce yourself.
Want to do a quick introduction before we hop back in?
Oh, hi, I'm Shavante.
Alright.
And also, we will not be talking about the Clintar or the symbiote race. We're just going to be talking about Venom specifically. Okay. So the symbiote first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man number 252, published in 1984, written by Tom DelFranco and artist Ron Frenz. But the actual character Venom debuted in Amazing Spider-Man 300 in 1988 by David Schlitt and drawn by Todd McFarlane. So, basically, the start of the relationship with the symbiote and Peter Parker, he was his first host, and that's where he got all his powers from. So, yeah. Okay. So Peter Parker mistook the symbiote for a suit, and so he began to like use him for a while. But then he realized that when the symbiote was taking over his body at night to like go vigilante, like like enemy hunting, he like wake up like super exhausted and tired and realize that the relationship was like not really symbiotic. So they had a huge breakup in a church. And
The most dramatic kind of
it was
breakup.
super dramatic. And basically Peter Parker won because he used spells, and the high frequency sounds drove the symbiote away from Peter Parker. And then, coincidentally, that's where Eddie Brock was praying for, like, honestly, yeah. Well, the thing is, his life was going to shambles. He had just had a huge divorce with his wife. His abusive dad had just like disowned him, and like his career had been totally debunked because he was trying to prove who Spider-Man was, and then everybody was like, "That's not true. That's not true." And so he lost his job and had to publish like terrible tabloids about like just anything, terrible things. I think
Eddie Brock is the only 6'5" reporter out there.
yeah, he actually took up bodybuilding to like help combat the depression from all of that like terrible stuff, but it didn't work. So if anybody ever tells you to like battle your depression with like only exercise, you can tell them about that. Okay. So while the symbiote and Eddie Brock met in the church and they like bonded with each other because of their mutual hatred for Peter Parker, who was they both know was Spider-Man. It like transformed from just like petty, oh I hate this guy, you hate this guy, like shit talk and just like friends and this and that. And it transformed into like respect and then eventually like
Yeah, right? I almost want to go over to their panel. I'll be right back, you guys.
So we see the main example of this in the limited series Venom, the Hunter issue number 4, Resolutions, where they began to like refer to each other as like lovers and whatnot. And then Eddie Brock realized that it was kind of a destructive relationship. The symbiote needed to feed on him in order to like keep him surviving. But he found out that
Yo, shut the fuck up!
Simone.
symbiote needed some sort of chemical called phenol glycol. And yeah, and you can also find it in chocolate. So by feeding the symbiote chocolate, it became more of a beneficial relationship. It's very big. Oh, literally a sugar daddy.
Oh my God.
So, as we know, again, let's talk more about this.
So in the Venom 2016 run, we have like them actually referring to each other as like love and sweetheart and like we.
Basically a married couple.
They're married, basically. Okay, and then they had a kid in Venom 165.
Yeah.
And actually, it's like super.
That's fucking
Yeah. So the kid that they had, it's a symbiote, and the name is Sleeper, and it's now bonded to a Kree person who's named Telkar.
One
And it's
from his other host, his other host friend.
oh, these symbiotes have a ton of hosts. For now, we're just going to talk about Eddie Brock.
Back to the line that says it was a difficult pregnancy for them. It was a very difficult pregnancy.
Can you imagine having a pregnancy by yourself?
There were complications and everything.
Eddie.
Both?
And at the same time, they had a little goo baby, and they left it with Jessica Drew for a while to just mature.
And now they don't have a baby. It's really, really sad.
They're really complicated.
But yeah. I think I was doing issue 5 with the Kree. So,
And you know, we have to talk a little bit about the 2018 film.
yeah.
It's necessary. It is.
Yeah, so this changes a bit from the original canon. Like, the symbiote doesn't bond with Peter Parker. It just naturally has these, like, shape-shifting abilities. But, still a pretty excellent example of monster fucking. We see Eddie Brock hanging out with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
In the form of Venom.
And and Venom at the same time. The perfect relationship. A throuple, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a nice polyamorous relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Legend has it, Venom's tongue touched the bottom.
In a what?
His tongue touched the bottom of Eddie Brock's stomach that day.
But yeah, that's mostly all we have for the movie. I know people didn't like it. I liked it. It was fun.
I loved it.
It was fun.
It was the best movie accomplished for generation.
Yeah. As long as you don't take it too seriously.
Don't take it for a serious monster movie. Romance.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
So now, the question. What the fuck does that have to do with us being horny for monsters?
Everything.
It's got everything to do with it, really. Because they're hot and people are cowards. Anyways, it's honestly safe to say that when it comes to monster movies, a lot of people who watch them feel a kind of sadness and everything for the monsters because they can see that they've also been outcasted from society in similar ways that we may have been outcasted from society. Be it for our queerness, our transness, our being of color, being a certain religious backgrounds, whatever, we may feel that we've been othered by society in a lot of ways, or just for the taboo. So then, though these monster movies kind of go out of their way to frame the monsters as something to be feared, there's something kind of in that makes you want to sympathize with that monster. Just think about how it is for us. You have a question?
Sorry, could you speak up a bit more? Cause
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry.
I'm near the front and I can't hear you over that.
I'm so sorry. No, we do not. We should have asked for one.
That one didn't work.
Yeah. I know. I'm trying. But like, so you know, monster movies definitely go out of their way to frame the monster as this monstrous, terrible thing that has to be feared. And in a lot of senses, that's a lot of the ways that people of color are treated, a lot of LGBT are treated, a lot of people of different religions are treated in, say, media or whatever. So you feel a kind of connection with that at that time. So over the time, there's become a sense of relatability to those monsters and everything. And some movies have gone out of their way to like form more of a sympathetic background for a monster. We can even go back to A Tale as Old as Time, Beauty and the Beast. That's a perfect example, if I'm really honest. Like, we don't see, I guess, him having a beautiful appearance on the outside, but we connect with what's inside of him as we see him progress through the movies, becoming softer towards Belle and everything. And we get attracted to the outside of him at that point, too.
Or even like The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water is actually another perfect example.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say Guillermo del Toro is someone who is pro-monster fucking at all times. I mean, y'all even seen on the other panel that I had that one screenshot from The Shape of Water, naked fish monster ass right there in our faces. Wonderful. The dick apparently comes out like that from what she tells us. But yeah, and even that takes place in the 1950s, I want to say during the era of the Cold War and still during the Civil Rights Movement as well. So of course, you even have the black friend of the main woman of the film who can kind of sympathize with the monster as well in a sense. And usually we have the second character being like, oh no, that's a terrible thing that you can't be with them. But then with this, it's different. We see someone that we can also look through and sympathize with at the same time. So,
and even then we have like the issue of like immigration and like being like torn from your home and then having to be somewhere else. Like it's a really relatable story, especially if you've been like othered like all throughout your life. It's like it really grabs to your gut.
So to relate with these monsters makes us feel like we're kindred spirits with them in a lot of ways. And you know, you look for that in possibly a relationship that you want to have with someone on an emotional level. So then you're like, wow, either I want to be this monster who is being, like, say you're the monster of The Shape of Water, you're being loved by this woman who also has been othered in society because of her disability. But then you also want to be her and love this monster as well because you understand what it's like to live that kind of life as being seen as taboo at a lot of times.
And you're being loved completely for yourself. You don't have to change anything. You're still a quote unquote monster. That's not true. But like, you know, relatability with that movie.
Yeah, we might as well.
Oh, are you done?
Yeah, I think I covered it kind of succinctly.
We're way on track. now to further explain this phenomenon with science, speculative science. No, it's Dr. Frankenstein. So before we get into some of the data that I have compiled, we need to define what this actually is, which is teratophilia, which refers to the sexual attraction to monsters. It comes from the Greek word that, and meaning monster, and then the Greek word, whatever that is, meaning love.
Philia.
So you know where it sort of comes from. Rather than be definition as a kink, defenders of teratophilia believe it allows people to see beauty outside of social standards. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So teratophilia is a type of parophilia, which is the experience of intense sexual arousal to atypical objects, situations, fantasies, behaviors, or individuals. So that is just a little bit more specific. So I have, after some intensive research, compiled 6 theories on why people want to fuck monsters. I don't need to switch seats. I just stand up. Okay, so we are going to start with the fetish theory, which is the easiest theory to go over. So the fetish theory is attraction to monsters as a result of a developed fetish. So if you don't know how fetishes are developed, well then you're going to learn something today. So fetishes are developed at an early age as a result of experience intimate contact or feelings with an object or experience. It's not a willing thing, it's not something that happens immediately. It's just, it can be anything from like a feeling, maybe your first boner, maybe you saw someone naked on TV, and then there was also something else in that room or around you, somewhere in your vision that you're also passively thinking about, that eventually could develop into a fetish. So if you see your first pair of boobs while your goldfish is in the room, well then maybe you like fish people now.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
So that's kind of how it works. Don't know why, our brains are not very smart. People can be aroused by details rather than the overall human form. So having fetish to certain attributes can be exemplified and amplified through the design of a monster. Because monsters are usually
from our
really
imagination, what we would want to have in the ideal lover, I would say.
Exactly. If you're really into tongues and teeth and stuff, then Venom is probably your jam.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, so it's just like, you know, finding those bits and pieces. Maybe you're just really into big tits, so who cares if it's like a tiger person or a gooey monster?
Who cares if it's Tony the tiger or that tiger from Zootopia?
As long as it's not a big dick or a big tit, you know, it doesn't matter.
I swear to God.
I guess like
So within this theory, this is mostly
I'm about to
contained
kink
and
shame
constrained
everybody.
into fantasy due to the lack of actual monsters in our everyday and romantic lives. So it is also much easier to bend reality through art and story. So it's much more commonly like explained this way. Alternatively, people who develop a fetish for being submissive may also develop a fetish for being dominated by monstrous beings because they're usually associated with being unknown and larger and dominant. So that's another little facet of that. Okay, so fetish was like the longest one, so that's good. So number 2 is the coping mechanism theory, which is not as fun, which is attraction to monsters as an escape in response to trauma. So, it has been suggested that monsters can function as an escapist fantasy for some straight women or others who are attracted to men. And if you actually go look and find all the novels and stuff on Amazon about like fucking Bigfoot or like some werewolf monster or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get robbed by a werewolf at 3 a.m. behind Denny's.
Yeah, it's surprisingly a lot of straight women writing that.
I don't know if you guys have heard of Chuck Tingle.
So basically this allows you to still be attracted to masculinity without having to deal with like an actual human man because it's like put onto a monster. And this could work in reverse as well, but it's just a little bit more common when it has to do with being attracted to men. So then the otherness theory is something that Simone has already sort of gone over, and that has to do with attraction to monsters as a result of societal oppression. So that's why, like Simone said, a lot of people who are minorities and people who do face everyday oppression feel kinship and attraction to monsters because they share that respect. Yeah, so we sort of covered that already. So now the crazy shit. So the Darwinian monstrosity theory is the attraction to monsters as a result of humans becoming meta monsters themselves via artificial evolution. So that was a whole lot. So let me try to break that down for you so it makes some sense.
Yeah, we might as well.
So humans themselves, through this theory, are monstrous in the way that we do not play the species game anymore. We've sort of hit peak on evolution. That's why we don't, evolve gills or anything or develop scales. And we totally could, but make us more badass, but we don't. So we've sort of got it up there. So we have just started evolving ourselves or transforming ourselves. And then also other organisms, so to create other monsters. Like, if any of you have a dog, that would be considered a monster because it's a domesticated animal that we bred into the ground. So there's that, and these modifications can come through, genetic experiments in our food, in our pets, stuff like that. And then with ourselves via technology and like xenografts and endografts, which is like, doing the transplant of organs from other animals or other humans, which is kind of a form of self-cannibalism. So that's monstrous. Yeah, so that is sort of what that is. So the attraction to monster is more of an evolutionary response in humans to search for humanity outside their own species and to become more monstrous, to produce more monsters as a form of transitional monstrousness between species to adapt to an ever-changing world. So it's more like a desire to continue evolving even though we've kind of stopped doing it naturally. So one more super crazy theory is the post-human hybridization theory, which is attraction to monsters as a result of an instinctual need for humans to culturally assimilate other species to be adjacent to humanity. So it basically just means we're scared of what we don't understand.
This is why Star Trek happened, as you can see.
Back bonding.
Yes, exactly. So basically monstrosity is becoming a mode of existence that destabilizes the very idea of having species in such a way that every individual can be their own species through monstrosity in one way or another. So it seeks to destabilize the human species culturally by projecting onto or encouraging other species to engage and participate in human society as we culturally understand it, thus creating a transition between monsters being us, and monsters also referring to alien beings or even really intelligent animals. So that's basically an effort to create a unity under human standards in a hybridization form. So it's sort of like giving up part of our humanity to monsters so that they can be a little bit more human, so that's less scary for us. Yeah, and my sixth theory is the coward theory.
My favorite.
Which is attraction to monsters because they're sexy and everyone else is just a coward. There can be any combination of these theories that can be applied to each individual person, so you can't, you don't have to like leave this panel thinking, oh, I think I like monsters because of the Darwinian monster theory, or no, it's probably the fetish theory. It's probably a combination of like 2 or 3 of these if we were
definitely the first.
They could just be hot.
It's hot.
It's at least just because of these things. But,
You're hot as hell, my good dude.
We finished a little earlier than we thought we did.
Yeah, so we definitely have a lot of time for questions right now.
Yeah, questions,
discussions.
comments, discussions. We are here for that.
I think it's a good point to mention that like the origins of monsters, like the creature from the Black Lagoon, or like having like even like racist caricatures like in Birth of a Nation, like spawned like monster theory, like having like
having the black man kind of portrayed as just this monstrous being who's chasing a white woman through the woods, and then we started getting monster movies such as The Creature from the Black Lagoon, where of course we see a fish monster in the Amazon taking this white woman and being hunted down by all these white strapping men, specifically a white woman. The same thing with King Kong, as we see in the 1927 version, or in every version really, except the 2005 I would say kind of changed it, as well as the 1996 that we don't talk about just because the attraction between King Kong and Jessica Lange was shown as in the weirdest possible way. It was. Oh,
Bee
yes,
movie.
the Bee movie. I mean, that's more
It's a bee.
zoophilia, I would say.
Well, I mean, under my theories number 4 and 5, that would technically work.
True.
I understand, but I'm just saying that if we bred bees, then it counts as the monsters.
Or his players from the Transformers franchise, if any, they're not even really monsters. They're like just Gijinka girls with long tongues. sometimes.
Monsters is a broad category, is what we're saying. But it's important to like recognize the evolution of it as like specifically monsters always chasing after white women, which would embody like a sense of like humanity and like purity, and like always being rescued by like a white strapping man who would be like, the way to solve this is with violence, and I'm proving something by doing this. And
You should just say Gaston by his actual name.
yeah.
Shit into me.
Like Gaston is an excellent example of that. He's like
He's a dickhead.
he's a dickhead. He's a complete dickhead.
He's my
He's a
favorite
hyper
dickhead.
masculine that bases his entirety, like the entirety of his personality on his dick.
Yeah, he does. Like he has a whole song devoted to it, and like, admittedly, he's still pretty nice. But that they want to lure you in with that. He gets the whole town in with that, and then he persuades them to like destroy this beast, which he doesn't understand. He doesn't care because he just wants Belle. And it's like, sorry, you better.
I'm just gonna say, anyone who's watched the
That's the
proto
Disney.
monster, like pro monster fucking
It is
because
monster
the
fucking
traditional
movie.
hero.
If we're gonna be real, all Beauty and the Beast content is pro monster.
Yeah, I mean, well, yes, but in this
Even that horrible Beastly movie that came out, that was not accurate to the book at all.
Because I'm about to bomb Frozen.
It's just a weird switch, like an intentional switch from Disney had been up to that point, and a lot of fairy tales up to that point was that this is the attractive, popular white man. He is the good guy in this, and this was a huge departure from that. And when I was like, no, that's not the beast. That's like, that is the switch that didn't happen before. I think that's like, that's, I'm just saying.
No, I think
But
you're valid.
you know, pretty cool. Sit down.
What year did Walt Disney die again?
66.
66.
You got a question over here?
I think what I'm thinking is there's something of a growing tendency, and I'm thinking of Venom and to an extent the shape of water of monsters looking at kind of a metaphor for greatness.
Yes, exactly.
As kind of, and I mean, I think in particular of the kind of movie where the writers actually actively admitted it's supposed to be a romance. That the relationship between Eddie and Venom is a romance.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor in it because again, that's an otherness theory. How a lot of LGBT people have been othered by society because it's a taboo for us to be LGBT.
Because you're always painted as the monster or like something like unnatural, like feared or whatnot. And that's not true. Just people, you know?
So then, of course, you would also feel a kind of connection with the monster because they're outcasted for reasons that they can't control. Their looks, their
Preferences.
yes.
And in terms of media representation, unfortunately, that can also be flipped onto us by being like, oh yeah, we totally have like gay representation or whatever, but you know, one's a monster or two are a monster. And so they can use that as an excuse by stripping away that humanity from them, that they're just like, oh yeah, well, this is representation, but we didn't want to have people doing it, so we just made a monster do it. But we're gonna code them as queer, so it'll be okay.
Or even having like your queer characters die and like saying, oh, well, we have this representation, but yeah, bye.
Basically, bury your gays or even.
Or slay the monster.
Yes.
Basically.
Do you have any more questions from the audience?
You are so valid.
Yes, you are.
I've noticed a trend in sexual representation of I know there are drawing this question. When you guys say, I'm just asking you guys, what side of the monster fucking in your opinion is that? just straight up like raw behind the
That's a really good question.
That is an excellent question. Thank you. I think we can all like talk about this.
Be just romanced by a Cthulhu type monster or something, or honestly the whole what is talked about as the experience of a symbiotic relationship with something such as Venom is so amazing because Venom at that point knows every one of your thoughts, every one of your kinks, just every one of your emotions and everything, and you become so much closer just seeing that with Eddie Brock and Venom throughout the ages. Because I'm like, wow, I love a romance with my suit, to be honest. And then of course the fucking.
Personally, I think the romance part would be more fulfilling. I think it would be very fun to experience that in like a sexual nature, but also that's a lot. That's a big tongue, you know?
I mean, that's why.
But also like that, I think it's more like irrelevant. I think the romance part is more like fulfilling. But I also tend to like identify with these characters as like a non-binary person myself, and always being like gender and whatnot. And like symbiotes, they have like, do they have a system of gender?
They don't really. They're in fact non-binary themselves. They're
Most of them are like, give birth to themselves.
yeah, they give birth to themselves.
They give birth like they
Asexually.
give birth. Kind of like how each venom thing can give birth to the next venom, to the next venom. Well, not the next symbiote.
Now, sometimes their hosts do help in a
Or like
sense
Piccolo.
for them to be pregnant. It's tough. That's a tough concept to explain, but Eddie Brock is a perfect example of that with him and the symbiote. So I would definitely read the comic line that talks about their son Sleeper.
I like to think that they were then like a cocoon,
A cocoon?
and but like Venom like wrapped them into like a cocoon, and then did like all this disgusting shit, and then like oh,
I like to believe that too.
Well, sorry, did you have to say?
Yeah. Well, personally, I fan the idea of finding something that could be seen as monstrous or like just like not accepted by society, or like being able to like love that wholeheartedly and accept it completely by somebody else. I think that's a very appealing thing. So that's why I think I prefer the romance part of that.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna vary from person to person. I don't think any one particular attraction to said monstrous species like Venom and stuff like that has to lean so hard in one way or the other. It's really just gonna be what are your preferences already, like in your everyday life. So if you're applying this to being attracted to monsters, if you are not a very sexual person, then you can very well just have just as good a time fantasizing about having a symbiote without having to be fucked in the butt like constantly all the time.
That's what's happening.
Every
And
minute.
Brock, you guys.
It doesn't.
He's having orgasm after orgasm. Let me tell you.
So I think it's really whatever it is that you get the most joy out of it for. I don't think that anyone is gonna, each side of that is gonna be more gratifying than the other, unless that's just your thing. Yeah, it's all valid. All of this is valid.
Romantic or sexual with like aliens? What do you think is more preferred? What's your preference in regards to monsters? Romancing or
Demogorgon had tits. I said if the Demogorgon had tits off of Stranger Things, I'd love it. But I like to think it's a romantic thing. Like with the Venom movie, they were never I'm not gonna say they didn't like almost skate off at the beginning. But it was a lot closer, and they did seem like by the end of the movie, it was more of a relationship. Like, hey, we're gonna get food. We're not gonna go get food. Yeah, we're gonna go get food. I'm pretty sure like a lot of you have had that conversation with at least one person that you dated, where you had to like argue about food.
Or even like a friend.
And that's half the movie for the two of them.
Because I know I definitely
Half the food is eating people, but it's still food.
I know I definitely have conversations like with my friends. It's just like, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? No, I don't feel like eating out. And it's a whole thing. It can also be rest.
I like the whole relationship between the two of them on a like an actual, not a physical level, a romantic level, because it is a relationship and nobody wants to say it. Like I said, they do have like a really good connection, them trying to protect each other. Like I said, that was a really good part of the movie for me.
And the thing is, the comics have been saying they've been in a relationship. They've been in it since the 90s. It's just that everyone wants to kind of push it to the side and act like it's not there.
Right.
Wonder why.
One of the consistent things, like consistent physical features that I've noticed amongst the very popular monster fucking, besides the big brawny monsters, are those with tentacles. Like Team Tentacle Porn all day. But that's a huge thing, especially within the symbiotes. You've got Venom is essentially a ginormous blob that can form multiple tentacles and do lots and lots of things with those tentacles. But I bring that up to talk about the history of tentacle porn in Japanese media, where I think a lot of people have seen it. It's the woman being fucked by a giant octopus. And I don't know a whole lot about the history behind that image, but I think it's one of the first acknowledgments that you see of there's an interest in fucking something that's not another person, especially at the time. Yes, especially at the time that it came out, which was neo-colonial, pre-colonial Japan, and that's just something that you see very consistently in media. And I'm wondering, is that a thing that's kind of, I don't want to say conditioned into us, but is that, let me form my question this way. Yeah. What was your first monster attraction? Oh, yeah. Was it the tentacle creature, or was it the big brawny one that kind of just looked like a buff-ass man in a fursuit?
Martian Manhunter's real form.
Sorry, what?
Okay, that's a good one.
Martian Manhunter's real form.
He looks like a demon from Star Wars.
Kind of looked like a space Cthulhu.
Have y'all ever watched Shaolin Showdown?
Yes!
Have you ever seen Chase Young's monster?
Bro, what? Simone, are you fucking kidding me?
It was hot!
Everyone's
Can't believe people are
we're
getting
running out of monster fucking
You all fuck monsters here, come on!
With the little ghost that followed Jack Splicer.
Oh, she was kind of hot. She was
But not she was like smart.
Who cares?
You seen Scary Movie 2 enough to know what a ghost can do?
Yes, that's literally like half the movie.
I also Ghost. I played Monster Prom. Always my favorite.
Oh, Monster Prom is my favorite.
If you all haven't played Monster Prom and you're in the Monster Prom channel, but I don't know what you're doing, go download it now.
It's a lot of fun.
It's on Steam.
It's incredibly fun.
Yeah, I had access to the internet way before I should have. I found the tentacle party.
This is incredibly niche. I was 15. I was reading this webcomic about succubi and incubi, which is so basic, but I think that was. Thank you.
You should I can't think of the name of it, but there is an actual manga about a succubus that comes to a guy every night and he doesn't actually want any sexual favors out of her. He's like, alright, so, she comes up and he's like, alright, so what do you want to do? And they're just playing video games. Or they just eating dinner, or he cooked their dinner, or they just do random stuff, and they're just why? Or people he'll call her and be like, I just thought I'd call you so you can have a break.
Yeah, this is the webcomic I actually read before I realized I was gay, so I was like, wow, why do I like this so much? So they were all wealthy ladies with saber movies, basically. I was like, this is great. Yeah.
Okay, so you said this. So you said, oh, I saw it right before I figured it out. Are you talking about monsters and massive or other things? Do you think that perhaps the reason why there's this rise in sort of like sexualized monsters in media, or like a following, or a sexualized following for monsters in media, is because they're being queer coded? And
Absolutely.
queer communities are over sexualized in the first place?
Absolutely.
That's true. Is that a good thing if they don't want to fuck? Or are we just like perpetuating this stereotype?
You're asking a really good question.
Great. You guys are fantastic.
I'm sorry, I just
Welcome to the Monster.
You guys are great.
Love this part.
So the thing about that is the thing about that.
Wait, let's narrow down the question.
Sometimes.
So basically, the question is queer coding, are monsters that are being queer coded being over sexualized because they're queer coded, or just because they are monsters?
You're not doing any of the work that kind of.
Okay, so the thing is that we know when we're being baited. It's pretty obvious. But oh my god, we get nothing. So like, you know, when it happens, it's just like, well, this is ours though.
I really
know
want
it's
to fuck
not
this
good,
nice mermaid now. Come on.
You know, we get so little for us in mainstream media. Like it's really difficult to do that thing where just like you really like this movie or this series or whatever because there's a hot monster in it and you know that's because it's queer coded, and then being critical about it when people like judge you for it. It's difficult. It's as mainstream media is now. I don't think it's in a good spot to do what it does when it occasionally throws us a bone, because it's just trying to get our money and make an interesting story for all the rest of the straight people and stuff. It would take some serious media, like cultural overhaul, so we can get, I think, decent, actual, okay, straight up representation.
We need more LGBT creators, basically. And personally, I think it's fine as an LGBT person to be like attracted to these like monsters and like create content about said monster fucking or like monster romancing, monster romancing.
Especially when it comes from other queer people.
Yeah, especially when it comes from other.
There's a difference between a straight person writing this queer coded character and then an actual queer person writing this queer coded character, I would say. Big difference.
Yeah, when you have like a cisgender heterosexual person creating this content, it's like they're purely in it for the kinks and not like relating to like any of the struggles or like the otherness of that. I think that's fetishizing, but like when you as a person of color or like an LGBT person does it, I think that's fine. But then your content gets taken for like fetishization by other people. It's a cycle.
Yeah, because everybody else sucks. You can't have anything nice. So it really depends on, if you're looking at individual pieces of media, who made it. Is it a really big conglomerate like Disney, or is it like an art student, or you know, a small indie developer that's like developing a video game company or something that are just trying to do something genuine and also something that we really enjoy. So yeah, it depends on who it's coming
Sadly,
from.
usually it's Jocelyn.
It's a fine line, but I'm not sure. I'm glad we're getting more monsters. I think it's fun. I think we're fun, like branching out to like funner like genres and like
Guillermo del Toro has been over that genre in a while.
And he has such interesting things to say as like an immigrant himself and like knowing like the comics and whatnot.
And I think he knows the being othered, the otherness of it. So it's definitely
It's not even like his otherness comes from like his immigration and like being a person of color in America and like whatnot, but it's also relatable if you fit to other folks. Not you know.
we got like 6 more minutes in there.
Oh, I think we have a hand over here that I kind of lost. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So going back to the idea of various gays, I was just, this might be like reading into it too much, but I was kind of thinking there's something to be said for the fact that, you know, Eddie Brock kind of in any other case, he would be like, you know, the strapping, like, Gaston type. And he sort of has that personality in a lot of, like, not in his own series, but, like, whenever he encounters Spider-Man. So, like, him being, like, for lack of a better term, the damsel in distress, and, you know, big black gooey Venom coming in and saving him, you know? I don't know.
I think that's fun because he also like, cause he is like the strapping like white man, right?
Like 6'3" and like 240.
Yeah, he's
250.
Eddie Brock's pretty hot. Like aside from like a few like other things, he's pretty hot.
They picked the best bottom to play him in a movie.
Let's be real. I know they did a good job.
Let's be real.
Because
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is like the biggest bottom I've ever seen. He's like a
If you see Tom Hardy's old MySpace pics, you will understand.
If you just look at his lips.
He's not Eddie Brock.
Yeah, he's not Eddie Brock.
He's not Eddie Brock. They picked like the right person for it. But like he's still he gets knocked down if he plays like right. He's like he's divorced from his wife and then he's like super poor even though he can afford like this huge like apartment in fucking like LA. San Francisco, which is so expensive. Quality living is so expensive.
That apartment had like 3 brick walls.
True, it's just, I don't believe that Eddie Brock is actually that poor.
He's not poor, but like comics wise, he's poor. So like I'm broke as shit. So I think I can relate to him in that.
I'm broke as shit and also would like to be fucked by him.
And even just like having a symbiote as like a friend would be so cool. Like you just like
Honestly,
that's
that'd be
just a friend
fine.
who roasts you constantly, right?
Yeah, it's just a friend that you
then
fight with, fuck with.
And you can have like
Like, damn, parasites just eat the sun.
honestly, if I could like swing a little bit,
One last question. 2 last questions. One, where do I get your sunglasses?
Vendor Hall, they're the only one with glowing white stuff on their pants.
Wonderful, thank you. Second question. Who do you think is fucking who?
I think they're both fucking each other, like, in different times. Like, Venom is definitely fucking Eddie throughout the day. He has a tentacle up his ass at any time, or he's created a sort of fleshlight for him. But then, in the evening, when they get a chance to be in bed together, Eddie is definitely taking a few
the
chances.
pillow talk.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Because
he
Venom is the biggest bottom as well, if we're to be real. Kind of.
Like they're both losers. They relate to each other.
They are both losers, so it's sort of like a weird, pathetic struggle.
Yeah, they're both tender. See, look,
That's my favorite line.
They hate Peter Parker, but then they fell in love with each other, which is like.
What happens when you compare it to stage 5?
With that, we don't have very much time left, so we do need some of that time to get everybody out of the room. I want to thank you all for coming. It was a pleasure being able to do
We
this
didn't
for
think
you all.
this many people would actually come to a panel about talking about Venom's dick, but we're so glad.
We're so glad you showed up.
We're so glad that you guys were still interested in that slimy, toothy, very long-tongued individual.
Thank you for your questions. They were amazing.
Yeah, your questions were really good. But also, one more round of applause for Simone for putting this together.
Yes, Simone!
It's so wonderful. I love it. I love all of you guys. I love that you guys can accept that I said a lot of things about Monsterf that I probably can't say in normal conversation, but still probably have.
Yeah, we hope you learned something. If not about Venom, then something about yourself.
Hopefully open your eyes tonight and open your hearts to be aware